Firewatch is a game about isolation. You play as a character named Henry, venturing out into the vast and vibrant wilderness for a job you took. The place you're heading is deep in the Shoshone National Forest in Wyoming, a 2-day hike from where the trailhead begins. It is beautiful. The wildlife, the sun shining through the trees. It's almost enough to make you forget about your problems. Forget about why you came here. Finally, you make it to Two Forks Lookout. You are a Firewatch. This is a calm, solitary place where you could come to escape everything. To just be alone. The identity of Firewatch as a game is this solitude, finding comfort in loneliness. But there's something I didn't expect to learn when playing this game. Something that kept following me around everywhere I went. Firewatch is a horror game. The horror genre isn't something I have a very close relationship with. Back in 2016, Outlast was added to Xbox Games with Gold, allowing anyone with an Xbox Live Gold membership to download and play the game for free. While I hadn't had much experience with horror games before, I heard Outlast was pretty good, so I downloaded it. I turned my lights off, opened the game, and began playing what was my first ever horror game experience. Within just a few minutes of playing, I climbed the scaffolding on the side of the asylum, entered through the window, and the moment the lights went out, I thought I heard a sound in the dark, and I shut off my Xbox. Needless to say, horror games just weren't my thing. Games are meant to be fun, enjoyable, and scaring myself just didn't really seem fun to me. I still respected the genre and still wanted to play a ton of horror games, but just could never really bring myself to. When I began Firewatch, I expected an atmospheric adventure game with a beautiful art style and a thought-provoking story, and that's exactly what I got. But what I also got was a deep and permeating fear of isolation. The first moment in Firewatch that truly tore me out of this illusion of peace that I thought the game would have was near the end of the first day. After a small endeavor of stopping some kids from lighting fireworks in the middle of the forest, you make your way back to Two Forks Lookout, and along the way, you run into a blinding light, centered on you. A figure standing up on a ledge above you, staring at you. You can't quite make them out, and they disappear into the trees as quickly as they appeared. Delilah, the other lookout with whom you've been talking with via radio, brushes it off as just a product of being out here. People can come and go as they please, and running into random people is part of the fun. But this encounter was still so unnerving to me. This was meant to be a comforting, relaxing game where I could just enjoy nature's ambience. But now I'm looking over my shoulder at every turn. Now I'm terrified. Firewatch, by definition, is not a horror game. In fact, the Steam page for the game defines it as an adventure and mystery game. There's this sort of genre I like to call unintentional horror games. Games that aren't meant to be scary, and yet can still evoke this unsettling dread normally found in actual horror games like Outlast. Some of these games have this element rooted all throughout the experience, like Firewatch for example. But others are far more scarce, more mysterious. On July 28th, 2006, a YouTube user by the name of AfroSauce uploaded a video titled Ghost of Lockout. This since removed video showcased a match of Halo 2 multiplayer on the map Lockout. The video was recorded by one of Afro's friends named Anti-Noob, who had been playing with another friend named the Underdog. According to the video, they were playing by themselves, just messing about, jumping around the map, until Underdog went AFK. This left Anti-Noob completely by himself. Then something strange occurred. As Anti-Noob is jumping around, we see a random player come into frame. A player that isn't Underdog. There's no name displayed above their head, and when checking the player list, no one else has joined the game. This silent player glides across the ground, attacking Anti-Noob and seemingly phasing in and out of existence. On September 21st, 2006, yet another video surfaced with the same title, The Ghost of Lockout. This time uploaded by a channel named Meaner Strongbad, with footage recorded by Zyklon B. In the description, it says that this footage is of some kind of glitch they encountered, that none of it was staged. It once again showcases a player with no name gliding around and killing other players. These two videos were the beginning of one of the most potent urban legends in gaming, the ghosts of Halo. Sightings were reported all throughout Halo 2, 3, and even Reach of these creepy, nameless ghosts appearing in people's games, even when they were playing completely by themselves. There is this strong sense of unease when playing alone in many of these old Halo maps. One could say the same about nearly any multiplayer game. An environment typically filled with life and chaos is oddly uncomfortable when in this kind of stasis. It becomes a liminal space. The empty living room after just moving out. The abandoned mall with traces of laughter still in the air. But this unsettling atmosphere can turn to terror with even just the hint of an idea that you might not truly be alone. Just imagine yourself as a kid again, sitting alone in the dark at night, just exploring around a map all by yourself. Nothing strange has happened, nothing unusual. But these stories, these ghosts haunt you in the back of your mind. What if there is something there? What if you're being watched? Loneliness is a volatile feeling. We all innately yearn to be with other people, to be in good company. In fact, we need that connection, the comfort of others around us. And yet, somehow, isolation can, in its own way, be comforting. Both Firewatch and these old Halo legends are examples of how games can use this desire to manipulate you, to create this false sense of security. They draw you in with something you expect, something you want, and then throw you a curveball. Sometimes intentionally, and sometimes not. The comfort and peace of isolation has morphed into a fear of not being alone. At the very beginning of Firewatch, you are met with 3 words. You see Julia. Julia is Henry, the protagonist's wife. We are told of how they met, what they're both like, and how much they care for each other. We learn that Julia wants to get a dog, and that maybe one day she would like to have kids. During this little introduction, the game lets us choose certain things. We help Henry make decisions like getting a beagle or a German shepherd, or rushing into having kids, or giving yourselves time before anything major. Eventually, we are told that Julia is sent home from her new job because of some kind of episode. We learn that she's suffering from early onset dementia. She is 41. Henry ends up losing her to this sickness, giving her up to her family as he simply couldn't take care of her all by himself. Despite his love and commitment to Julia, despite his human need for connection, he decides to run away. to leave all of his problems behind and find some semblance of peace in this solitude. The feeling of walking around the wilderness in Firewatch is something I've rarely felt in other games. It manages to capture that beauty and peace of the wild, that comfort in loneliness, and I think a big reason for this is the way the game frames its narrative. Not a single other person is seen. During this introduction where we learn about Henry and Julia, all we're given are words upon a hazy background. Even when we begin talking with Delilah, it's all through a radio. We never truly see anyone else. All we do see are the trees, the sky, and the ground beneath our feet. Subconsciously, we are completely isolated. And so, this lack of any sight of another person is precisely why this moment at the end of day 1 works so well as a horror twist. The game breaks its own rules. What was meant to be this escape for both us, the player, and Henry, is revealed to have been nothing more than a facade, a mask. We are not alone, and we don't know what's out there. The oldest and strongest emotion of mankind is fear, and the oldest and strongest kind of fear is fear of the unknown. Resident Evil 1 was first released on the PlayStation 1 in 1996, and thus its controls are very clearly a product of their time. The camera is always at a fixed position, only changing positions as you move throughout the mansion. It is frustrating, constantly having to reorient yourself when walking down hallways, and in some cases, figuring out 5 different angles in just a single room. But there is an aspect of this camera system that adds so much to the game's atmosphere. This mansion is strange and creepy, seemingly abandoned, and yet all its candles are still lit. It feels almost alive, like it's been dormant for years, and now, just as you've entered, it is awake. As you walk its many rooms and halls, you don't know what to expect, what you may find, both in terms of the mystery of the mansion, but also gameplay. The camera angles often will hide what's around a corner, or what may be lurking in the shadows on the other side of the room. You are constantly on edge while exploring, and it makes RE1 still distressing to play, even to this day. Being in the dark is scary. It's uncomfortable, and it's what makes horror work. The scariest moments are always the ones in anticipation of what's to come. The ones that leave you guessing, scrambling to figure out what's going on. It's why you never show the monster until the very end. And something that comes from this lack of knowledge is disempowerment, feeling helpless. One of the core components of horror. When you know what's going on, you feel capable. You can prepare yourself for what's to come. And so, when that's stripped away from you, what can you do? Nothing. In the dark, you're blind. Decades ago, every star and habitable planet vanished, leaving only those who were on space stations or starships. This event became known as the Quiet Rapture. This is Iron Lung. The game's premise is daunting. Already you are left in the dark. Nobody knows why or how this all happened. All they can do is try and survive. And you are the answer. Thrusted into the depths of a barren moon with an ocean of blood, tasked to look for any natural resources, anything that may secure a future for humanity. You aren't just blind in what you know, but are truly without sight as you descend into this ocean. The makeshift submarine you're piloting wasn't designed to go down this deep, so you're welded inside and the window is closed shut. The only window to the outside is a camera, used to take static pictures outside of the sub. The game plays very simply. All you have to do is navigate to each coordinate without crashing into anything. Honestly, it would be a pretty boring game if it weren't for the looming fear of what's hiding just outside of this metal box. The console has a small radar pointing in whatever direction you're facing. If you come near an obstacle, it'll flash to let you know you're getting close to it. But this radar isn't transparent. It's not the same as looking out a window, and yet you're forced to rely on it, to trust in it. Was that really just a wall? What was that noise? It's suffocating, knowing the only thing protecting you from this haunting ocean is a few inches of rusting metal. Both Resident Evil and Iron Lung are terrifying in their own ways, but the thread that connects them both is the fact that you're isolated. Yes, while in Resident Evil there are many other characters you'll run into and interact with, for 99% of the game, you're traversing this mansion by yourself. Almost comedically, when you do meet up with some of these characters, you still decide to split up. Iron Lung has you entirely isolated. There's not another soul even on this same moon as you, as far as you know. When we're alone like this, all we have is our own judgment. We become less relaxed, hyper-focused on our environment and ability to perceive threats. But this awareness can sometimes be a detriment. Paranoia. You start telling yourself things that aren't true, swearing you heard a noise that wasn't ever there. Horror games are as much physical games as they are mind games. And you're playing against yourself. At the start of Outlast, when you climb in through the window and the lights shut off, there is no creepy sound. I was just so scared when I first played it that I somehow made myself think something was moving around in this dark room and quit the game. Isolation is a horror in and of itself, but when it's mixed with the unknown, the terror of the dark, it becomes something far worse. Because when we're alone, we can never be certain that we are alone. Perhaps the scariest moment in Firewatch happens during day 76. Ever since that first encounter on day 1, it left me on edge, but it wasn't long before I was able to get comfortable again. There's probably no one out here. I'll be fine. That encounter was just a red herring, a little tease from the game devs. This is an adventure mystery game, and nothing more. There's nothing to be afraid of. Right? Then we find a clipboard. Written on it are notes of our conversations with Delilah, our hiking routes. Someone's been listening, watching us. After following this trail, trying to figure out what the hell is going on, this happens.
Are you there? I had a thought.
Let's hear it.
You heard someone in the bushes.
Yeah?
Okay, so let's assume we're being tailed. Or you are, at least. Where are you right now?
Just on my way back, in and out of trees in the middle of nowhere.
Do you see anybody?
No, definitely not.
Alright, so tell me what you think of this. Did you just cough?
No. Did you just cough?
No.
Oh, fuck.
Fuck.
There isn't any way someone, like another lookout, could be on this line, is there?
No. Not without tapping our radios.
Well, what about when I heard you talking to someone else?
I just left your line open. That's not what this is. Get in your tower, shut the door. Don't leave, and don't use your radio. I'll call you. Understand? I will call you.
There was no red herring. Our suspicions have been proven true. We aren't alone out here. And yet, we're still in the dark. These fears aren't just imaginary anymore. We know, well, that's just it. We don't know. Not enough. The game gives us just a sliver of something to latch onto, something to validate our fears, and stops there. This whole mystery horror narrative is unraveled in a way that keeps the player wanting to know more. Our ideas of this story play just as much of a role as what's truly happening. And as a result, it becomes a distraction. In this sea of games all about wanting to be alone, hoping that nothing is out there, there is an outlier. A game focused on not being alone. About the lengths that we'll go to reject isolation. Lost in Vivo is a horror game about fear. It begins with you walking your dog. As a storm begins to rage above, the rain slowly becomes heavier and heavier. The clouds darken, and the storm begins to swallow the ground. Then, out of nowhere, your dog is forced down into a sewer drain. In a desperate attempt to save her, you find the nearest entrance and dive down into the sewers to go after her. It's dark, damp. The walls are suffocating as you navigate this maze, following your dog's distant barking. With each winding turn, the rusted pipes taking you further and further from the world you once knew, it feels as though you're getting deeper, descending. You're lost. Just before the game begins, a small scene plays out of what is seemingly us, the protagonist, speaking with their therapist. So, how are you feeling? Do you feel these sessions are still helping? You could try something a little more direct. We could start in vivo exposure therapy. In vivo exposure therapy is a therapy designed to reduce one's fear and anxiety associated with certain triggers. By exposing someone to their fears, it may help them to conquer it. It is a painful, uncomfortable treatment, but effective. On the game's Steam page, it is described firstly as a horror game about claustrophobia. These tight tunnels and sewer pipes are our protagonist's fears. The word vivo means within a living being. We are going deeper, becoming lost in the tunnels of our own mind. This is our therapy. We're facing our own personal hell. Most horror settings have their characters happen upon their terrifying circumstances. Chris and Jill didn't intend to be stuck in this haunted mansion. Those Halo players never expected to encounter any ghosts. But Lost in Vivo tells a story of its protagonist choosing to delve headfirst into their worst nightmares, to face their fears. And why do they do this? To save their dog. It seems so simple, yet it's so powerful. Friendship, love, it is one of the most commanding and motivating things, even when it's just your dog. We don't want to be left abandoned, left alone. So we'll do whatever it takes to save her. While claustrophobia is the primary fear represented at first, we soon come across other people down here, suffering from far more complex fears and trauma beneath the surface. One of the first sections in the game takes place at an old train station. As we board a train, it takes us deeper through the station, until suddenly, a scream and a horrific noise from outside. We get off and explore the rotting underground. Throughout the area, there are several notes we can find, each painting a picture of what happened here. It was a slow day when it happened. Only 2 trains even stopped here, and I didn't see her until it was too late. I heard her sobbing as she walked down the tracks. I wanted to run and save her, but I could hear the train. I just waited and listened. She must have regretted it at the last moment because I heard her scream. I can't stop her. She passes through the walls. All I can do is wait and listen. Along the tracks, we can find a pair of shoes. The other notes we find here are likely from this girl. He makes me feel so much better sometimes, but I worry that I'm not good enough. He wants me to lose weight, and I'm really trying, but it's just so difficult. I look in a mirror and nothing's changed. I don't know what to write. I'm not sure if it's good or bad. I'm not sure if I'm happy or sad. I think we're going to have a child. All he talks about is how ugly I've become. How ugly I'm going to be. He tells me he's leaving. I feel so sick. He hates me now. And I have all this responsibility. All because of this parasite inside of me. I didn't think this would happen. I just did what I was told. I wanted him to be happy with me. This girl had been in a deeply toxic relationship, abandoned by her partner whilst she was pregnant. Her depression and guilt weighed down on her so much that she began to see her baby as a parasite. She neglected it, and herself. There's a section after the train station that sees you enter a room to find an apple in the center. You have the option to eat it, but when you do, bars then cover up the exit, and only are removed when you choose to throw up the apple you just ate. As you leave the room, a dark red glow meets you, disgusting worm creatures attacking you. It then loops you back into the same room. This is representative of the girl's bulimia. Her depression and self-image led her to abuse her body, forcing herself to throw up any food she would eat, and it led to the loss of her baby. This loss is hinted throughout the game: a blood-soaked changing station in a bathroom, a distorted fetus appearing in a save room, and vanishing in mere seconds. This trauma, this nightmare, is what led this girl to those tracks that day. But as we face these terrors, the haunting memory of this girl, her inner demons and her struggles, as we keep pushing through it all, we help her to see herself for who she is, to break out of this cage she's created in her mind, to come to terms with all she's suffered, and we help her carry this burden. Everyone has their own fears, the deepest, darkest part inside of them, and when they boil up to the surface, it can be unbearable. To face your fears, to face your own hell, all by yourself, it's unimaginable. Being alone is terrifying, but we don't have to do it alone. We don't have to face our trauma and fears by ourselves. If we're willing to accept a little bit of help, to not lose ourselves in our own solitude, we can find our way back to the surface. Autophobia is the name for an intense, morbid fear of being alone, abandoned, isolated. It is rare for someone to truly suffer from such a condition. After all, many people like being alone. Some even prefer it. Being alone can be freeing. not shackled by social anxiety or the need to maintain appearances. It's safe. But sooner or later, one must return from isolation. If you don't, you may end up lost. Despite Firewatch being a game about a guy taking this job in a remote, beautiful forest to simply get away from all of his problems, the game almost naturally takes this narrative direction of paranoia and the fear of isolation. A forest is an inherently haunting place, somewhere so separated from our regular lives. Just like the very concept of isolation, it is both comforting and terrifying. Forests are where people go missing. Wander for too long, and you'll lose your way. Isolation can be a scary thing, but when it feels like the whole world is against us, we can become drawn to it. How scary could this forest be compared to what we've left behind? Sometimes solitude seems like the answer to our problems, like the easy way out, to close ourselves off from everyone else, to just run away. But all it is a distraction. Henry became a Firewatch to deal with his grief. For him to face this reality, to continue to live with what he's been dealt, it would be hell. My favorite part of Lost in Vivo comes just after the girl's story. As we leave the station behind, venturing forward in search of our dog, we find one final note. I waited in the dark for so long. I lashed out against anyone who got close, but someone kept pushing me into the light. It hurt me for a while. It doesn't hurt anymore. Every other note we've read was dated from 2006 and 2007, but this note's date is whatever day you're playing the game on. This note is for us. We helped this girl, and she's thanking us for it. However, when I first read this, I couldn't help but feel more from it. Like maybe this note isn't simply speaking to our protagonist, but directly to me, the player. As we control this nameless person, we are helping them face their fears. They tread through this nightmare in search of a friend, and yet they've had one this whole time. It's rare a game makes you feel as though you, as a player, have left such an impact on a character. But this moment shows that impact. Because when you're not alone, you can face even hell itself. Henry never needed to isolate himself out in this forest. He never needed to run away from everything, to try and bury his problems. All he needed was someone to talk to. Thank you all very much for watching. If you made it this far, then remember to leave a like, and consider subscribing if you want to see more content just like this. A massive thank you to all of my wonderful Patreon supporters, and a special thanks to my top patron, Panda Junkie. Feel free to join our Discord server if you want to get any updates on future videos, and if you just want a cool place to connect and talk about games. Thank you all again very much, and as always, my name is Ember, and I'll see you next time.